This episode of the Higher Level Podcast is brought to you by ITGEL. ITGEL are a CBD company who provide 100% organic and vegan products. If you pop over to their website, itgelcbd.co.uk, pop in the promo code HIGHER10 and get 10% off your first order. Cheers for coming on the show, mate. Coming on for a chat tonight. We appreciate it, man.
Anytime. I do apologise for being late. I like to keep good timekeeping, so I do apologise.
Listen, you can be late. That's no problem, mate. You're an OG. You're allowed to be late. We'll happily wait.
That's a load of shit.
It's terrible.
Just garbage at this rate, you know. Everyone's stuck at home. No crack, no gym. Well, you know yourself. But yeah, is there any end to this crap inside? Is there?
It's kind of, I don't know. It's maybe I think a lot of folk are pessimistic. I'm a wee bit optimistic, man. I think we're looking all right. It's looking like we're getting to the end now.
The vaccine,
anyway. Aye. I mean, Paul, for you, what's it been like, man? Because obviously, it's a lot. As a fighter, man, this is a lot of time to you. Like, obviously, as a fighter, anyway, you've only got that limited time window to compete, and losing a chunky time like this. I mean, how's that been for you personally? And obviously, professionally as well.
Yeah, James will tell you, like. So when it all happened, when it started last year, obviously the whole world went into lockdown. But I think when it first happened, all the public right across the board seemed to adhere to everything that the governments were saying. They were saying, like, even myself personally, I was going down to the park where there was a pull-up bar, and I would bring my own kettlebell down. I'd bring on me sanitizing wipes, wipe everything down. But everybody wanted to go down there as well. Like, so people would see you on the bars doing your pull-ups or your workout routine, and they'd leave you alone. They wouldn't even ask to join in because nobody had an idea what COVID was, how bad it was. Everyone was just sticking to themselves. And then everyone did about 6 months of that, and then they start opening gyms again. And there was some sort of normality. So, you know, I think around August last year, everybody thought, this is it, we're going to get it. You know, we're going back to normality here. And then the second wave hit, and everything's locked back down again. And I was actually signed to fight on the Paris show for Bellator. And I ended up getting injured. So I actually had a fight. I dislocated my rib about 3 weeks out from the fight, and I couldn't breathe on it. And it's just one of them injuries. Can't take it much, can't spar hard. You just got to sit around and do nothing. So I was out injured with that. So then we went back into lockdown again, and we can't go more than 5K outside there. So the whole thing was just a shit show, especially if they're an athlete.
And in terms of communication from Bellator, out with that, obviously you had that fight lined up and then the injury, of course. Has there been much communication from Bellator as to potentially a return to things and maybe when you can get back in there?
So for me, I was talking to the guys at Bellator. My contract actually ended in February, and they just said, with everything going on at the minute, we're not going to renew it because we don't know when we're going to be over that side of the world. We don't know what gets into America, so there's no sense of re-signing again. So basically, we're only keeping the guys who have current contracts. So yeah. I'm after signing the Cage Warriors again there, and I have a fight in the end of June.
End of June.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Obviously, you've get back in at Cage Warriors and you've got something. And is it good to have that? Have something to work towards? And
yeah, I think when there's nothing in front of you, little things start to slip. Like you might have an extra pizza at the weekend. You might have 2 or 3 bottles of beer at the weekend. Then you're looking on the scales, you may be 2 or 3 kilos heavy, and that's not just only for me. That's for everybody. Anybody I've seen talk with throughout these lockdowns or anything like that, everybody's a stone heavier. Everybody's about 7 or 8 kilos heavier than where they were at the start of lockdown.
Aye, absolutely. I think if they were ever going to introduce new weight classes into MMA, this would be the perfect time. Know what I mean? And James, what do you think about that? Paul back in at Cage Warriors, because obviously exciting times at Cage Warriors at the minute, and Paul getting back here in the mix, it's obviously great for the promotion.
Aye, it's a big name. We've obviously been involved with the trilogy shows right through, and Cage Warriors has been the one kind of promotion in Europe that's kind of kept shit together. Like they've went out like above and beyond, just try to keep their signed fighters active and stuff like that. They've signed new guys and shit like that. So at least you're going to get busy with Cage Warriors. Like we had guys on all of the trilogies there, so they were getting to fight. They could have fought every 12 weeks if they wanted through the lockdown. Regarding the Bellator thing, they cut just before lockdown. I think they cut a bunch of European fighters as well, right? Like Ryan Scope and stuff like that, like good guys. So I don't know if their experiment in Europe's maybe kind of came to an end, and then the lockdown just obviously gave them a bit of an excuse or complications maybe not to be putting shows on in Europe the way they were before. So I think Cage Warriors is going to benefit for that. Like they've had guys sign because they can't get fights anywhere else, and the standard at Cage Warriors is rising for it. But I think from a Cage Warriors point of view, Paul's obviously fought in Cage Warriors before, but he's also fought on just about every big promotion on the planet, like KSW, UFC, and Bellator and BAMMA and stuff. So it's hopefully they're going to give you the right matches and get you right up to the top end of that division where you belong.
I've got a good match for the end of June. Really good fighter. He doesn't actually have a huge pro MMA record. He's about 8-0, 8-0-1. But he's coming from a Thai boxing background with a lot of pro fights there. So his MMA experience is huge, but make no means about it. He's a tough fighter. He's had 3 fights in Cage Warriors. One was fight of the year. One was had a big knockout. So he's got good hands. So he's a tough fight to start the round again on this on the Cage Warriors show.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, because his last fight he beat one of my guys.
Oh, was that the left hook and dropped him?
Yeah. So Stevie's actually on that. Is on Cage Warriors as well in June. So I'll see you down there. But that's a good fight for you, man.
Stevie, right?
Stevie McIntosh.
Oh, sorry. What's the story with Justin? Is he getting there? Is he training away?
He's a full-blown super electrician now. He's just running about wiring up hot tubs for people. Wiring up man caves and bars in people's gardens.
I do talk to Justin a lot.
Aye, he's making most of it. But that must be exciting for you, Paul, as well, because you've seen, the standard at Cage Warriors at the moment is, like James is saying, it's through the roof. And as a fighter, I'm assuming that excites you to get in there and mix it up with all these guys.
Yeah, so it's like James was saying, for more or less everybody out there now, Mm-hmm. Didn't really have a great UFC career, I would say. I fought a weight class down where I should have been, so I was down at a weight. It's just a fucking horrible cut. I can't do it. So my time at the UFC wasn't great. I come out, I've had wins on anywhere that I wanted to be after getting signed to Cage Warriors now. So I literally have one goal, and it's to get that belt. And if I don't get the belt, or if I do get to the title fight and I don't win it, well then there's no sense in me carrying on fighting MMA. I'm not. I might have passed it, or I'm not good enough to be there anymore. So if I don't win the belt in the next year, I'd say I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, is that it for you? It's to get back in there, and I guess getting back into the UFC and giving it your best. If you feel that you couldn't do that when you obviously had to drop down to featherweight, I guess you feel that you want to get back in there at lightweight and see how you can go.
Yeah, I would have always liked to go in at 155. You know, it's where I have on me good fights, decent wins. It's where I made sort of the reputation of Cage Warriors was at 155. So they gave me a chance. They said 145. I said, yeah, it didn't work out for me. But I would like to show them what I can do at 155.
I mean, just see that cut down to featherweight for you. How difficult was that? And in terms of just how you feel, even just when you get into the cage?
Yeah, so, well, James knows with Stevie Ray, because I shared a room. I roomed with Stevie over in TriStar for a month. And Stevie's a big lad, like he's quite muscular. He's a big lump. And he had the same cut, a similar cut of about 36, 37 pounds from his weight when the UFC ran. But Stevie only had to do his regular weight class. I had the same 36, 37 pounds, but I had never done featherweight before. So I think we hit lightweight on the night of, or the night before weighing. And just to get the next 10 pounds off was like, we got down as far as lightweight. And then I just stopped sweating. Like, I mean, I think I spent it had to have been about 10 hours in and out of the sauna, just in and out for the days, or the day and a half. And when I think I went in, it was the first exchange with, and it's a good fight, Mirsad Bektic. First exchange, I got tossed onto the ground, and I actually looked at my hands and I said, I actually have nothing here to give this chap for a fight. And it was frustrating because, you know, you've spent all that time to get there and you can't even put up a decent fight now. We ended up going 3 rounds, but it was 3 rounds and me getting my head smashed in. So it wasn't a good fight for the fans. It wasn't a good fight for me as a fighter being in there. So it was just a frustrating night, you know. And then I got beat by one of James's ex-lads, Big Rob, you know. The same again, it was the big cut to featherweight. I think I had to cut 8 kilos of water to make the featherweight cut. So I did it and took a big left hand, put me out. I just can't take the shots at featherweight. So it's not my weight class. I don't perform. It's a horrible cut. I'm miserable for 3 months of the year just to do one fight. Fight.
And it's not just that, it's when you're like you're saying, 3 months of the year, you're miserable, you're making that cut, and you probably know in the back of your head as well, especially with the second one at featherweight, that when you get in there, you're just not going to be the same fighter.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and not even that, you're doing morning in camp than you would have to do for 155. Like, you're lifting more weights. You're out on the road every day run. On top of your super strict diet. And then you've got to be just on it constantly, and it's not a nice way to live. And it's, again, if you're not performing, why do it?
Yeah, James, we've seen some pictures of you cutting weight in the past, but I mean that's a crazy cut, right? Especially how much that takes out a fighter.
You can see Paul's a proper lightweight. He's not like a small lightweight. So even just the discipline to get down to featherweights is impressive. But there's definitely a tipping point where making the weight fucks with your performance. And what you mentioned there about like the fight with Robert, you've probably been hit harder than Robert hit you at 70 kilos. But when you're that depleted and stuff like that, your punch resistance and your ability to carry a shot it kind of diminishes a wee bit. You see it quite a lot with boxers coming down a wee bit far too much, and they're getting knocked out with punches that normally wouldn't bother them and stuff like that. It's such a science and an art form. Unfortunately, the weight classes are pretty big in MMA. Running a bit there with the 10 pounds and then moving up to the 15s, but it's fucking part of the game. But it's the way that the game is as well. Like, if the UFC come and offer you a fight and that's where you want to be, that sometimes you have to take that fight and play by their rules, whether it's dropping a weight class. The same happened with Mads Burnell. I think he had his first fight in the UFC at welterweight and then came down to lightweight, and then he's now back at featherweight, out with the UFC. his normal weight class and he looks brilliant. But it's just the nature of the game, isn't it? It's like the UFC come and call you. You don't know if they're going to come and ask you again. So you've got to kind of roll the dice a wee bit.
Yeah, it seems crazy though that the UFC or the promotion are asking guys, like I say, to drop down weight classes where they're probably not going to be the best version of themselves. Surely the UFC want the best fighter possible. That seems madness to me.
I don't know if they do, man. I think that you don't really want to be shitting on the UFC, but they just see a lot of these guys as numbers. But they don't, unless you're going to kind of move the needle for them. You're certain guys, your Conor or guys like that, then I don't think they really care about you personally. It's no, it's a business. It's all about making money and filling cards and stuff like that, or having stars in certain areas and kind of regionalising MMA. But I don't think they care. They know that there's so many people wanting there. There's so many people vying for those spots. Like, if you don't take it, somebody else will take it. And I don't think a lot of the time it's like they're looking at the quality of guys they bring in. Sometimes they'll see Paul's doing well at Cage Warriors and then offer him, can you make it at featherweight or whatever? Do you know what I mean? It's not like they're going and having a look and saying we could bring him in and he'll make a dent at lightweight, his natural weight class. There's a gap there at featherweight. They're going to offer you, and they know that you're probably going to say yes and take it because they might not come back again.
Yeah, absolutely. And Paul, for you, obviously making this last run at getting to the UFC, now you've acquired that, like I say, fighting everywhere, fighting for every promotion, that experience. Do you feel that's going to stand you in good stead going forward into Cage Warriors?
Yeah, I just think once you've experienced big fights and the stadium shows, and you've already done the Cage Warriors thing, like not that it's going to be anything less when you get in there. I mean, still a fight at the end of the day. You're still inside the cage. I just think the experience should shine through when it on fight night. Not necessarily straight away in the fight, but you get caught in a bad position. You're not gonna tense up, or you're gonna know how to handle things a little bit more now than sort of in a career. So I've been through hard fights and stuff, and I know this is going to be a hard fight. So I think I can put the pressure on them straight away just from the get-go, So yeah, experience. Yeah,
and I guess the thought process as well must be that potentially you're going to be able to put him in spots that he's never been in before, and it's going to be difficult for him to do the same to you.
Yeah, look, I'm a black belt under Andy Ryan, so I've got a few tricks up the sleeve that a lot of people haven't seen in my MMA fights. Anyways, I know they're out there in other MMA fights. Some of the stuff you do hit the gym never comes across in an MMA fight. I'd love to do one of the submissions that I know that I could sort of pull off the gym all the time. If I got one of those highlight bits, yeah, really nice.
Yeah, perfect. And so I just want to go back over your career to this date, because there's a few questions I've got for you. The first one was obviously about the Bellator Dublin card. When you look back at that one in terms of your position on the card, was it frustrating that you weren't up there?
So a lot of more people were getting frustrated about it than I was. For me, it's not really. I'm not. I know myself what I bring to the table. I bring a good fight. I'll fight anyone, and people are excited to see the fight on the night. What I won't do is I won't shout and scream months in advance at my opponent on the phone or on Twitter or on Facebook or Instagram. I won't shove and push them on the way in. I won't call their ma fucking a bitch or this, that, and the other. I don't know the guy. If you want me to fight, I would sign the contract, I would show up on fight night, I'd shake your hand, we'd win a fight, and we can go for a drink later. And I think that's why I'm not further up on cards. And I've learned to live with it. So more people got annoyed about it than I did. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I think that speaks volumes, though, that people are getting annoyed about it for you. I think that does say a lot.
Yeah, like when I see it, I laugh about it, and I do say to them, like, you guys are getting more annoyed about it than I am. Like, I get paid the same amount of money. If I'm me personally, I prefer fighting first fight at night, because then I can kick back on a few beers and watch the rest of the fight card. So I did that for my Bellator debut. It was a BAMMA Bellator co-promoting show, and BAMMA were meant to go first, and Bellator were meant to go second. But I had just fought like 7 days beforehand for KSW, and Bellator needed a fight on late notice, so I took that one on late notice too. But then, for whatever reason, Bellator ended up going first. BAMMA was second, and I was first fight in the Bellator card. So it meant I was the first fight of the whole night, and I think there was about 20 people in the whole of the tree arena, which seats 10,000. And I thought it was fucking great. Went out, got me Bellator debut win, came back in, had a couple of beers, sat back and watched the rest of like a 15 fight card, and it was great.
Yeah.
Same money, same, no difference. You know, it's a win-win.
So little did you know at the time that was almost like fighting in a COVID show then?
Exactly so. It was one of them things, you know.
It's what we've spoken about this a few times in the show. I'd love to get a fighter's point of view on this, fighting Bellator in terms of the promotional side for Bellator and the way everything was structured with TV deals and all that. I mean, it was really confusing for fans, confusing for everybody. As a fighter, did you ever pay attention to that, the way they structured their TV deals and how? Because did you ever get people asking, where can I watch your fight? And
they can ask all right, and I'll either give them like a scene message, I'll look at it and I just won't reply to it, or I'll just fucking say, go ask Bellator, or you know, don't ask me. And anyways, and like people will try and text me the night or the weigh-ins, like, when are the fights on? I'll just text them back, fuck off, like, and just like, I can't be dealing with that. I'm a fighter, I'm cutting weight. You want me to go through and tell you what time I'm on the card, where to watch it? Go and piss off.
What's some of the dumbest messages you get when you're leading up to a fight, probably at the worst possible time?
Yeah, that to me that is the most stupid. That is the stupidest question. Or it'd be like, say I'm in the back and I'm about 3 fights out from before getting in the cage. Now, we won't have my phone on me. I turn my phone off maybe 2 days before the fight, like weigh-ins, cutting weight, all that. The phone just be busy. I've just learned how to do that over the years because I used to get stupid questions. But like, you get people texting, people in the back room that's beside you, will Paul come out and give me something? So no, I'm fucking warming up to go out and fight. Like, fuck off. If you haven't got your tickets by now, you're not getting them. You watch the fight on your phones somewhere else, you know? But yeah, that's the biggest, stupidest question. Text me fight night tickets or something. So
you must have seen some interesting shit going through to some of your guys' phones as well, James. On fight night.
Nightmare. Absolute nightmare. But I've seen guys going with their hands wrapped and stuff like that, and running about with tickets like you're fucking on in 3 fights. Or actually, one thing that sticks out to me was it was in Dublin, actually, one of the Cage Warriors New Year's shows when Stevie and Graham Turner fought.
Oh yeah.
Graham Turner got a message on his phone. I'm kind of watching him warming up, and then the next thing he's disappeared and went out to the gate, where his girlfriend at the time gave him a bag, told the security it was stuff he needed for his fight, and it was like 2 bottles of vodka or something. So he's brought this in. She's went through the security, get searched, she's got absolutely nothing on her. Then he's went and gave her the bag with the vodka in it so she could go and sit in the fucking bleachers, and then came back to Dave's warm-up. I'm just like, what? You're fucking fighting Jim Allers in 2 hours for the Cage Warriors featherweight title, and you're running about sneaking booze into this arena. And at that point, I knew he was going to lose. Like, I was like, this is a fucking shit show, man. Yeah. I was like, at that point, I was like, hey, he's not winning the night. He's fucking running about doing stuff like this. But it's mental, absolute mental.
It's probably the smartest thing. Just get the phone switched off like you do, Paul, a couple of days before it.
So if I'm weighing in on Friday, my phone usually goes off on Wednesday evening or night, because I know Thursday I start my wake up. You know, you're dehydrating yourself throughout the day. You still have to do maybe a session or two, like whatever, and you're not feeling good. Then you got to go to the sauna. Then you got to make weight. Then all your pictures are going to go online from whatever promotion. Everybody's going to see them. Everybody's going to start texting you. Best of luck, this, that, that. So when I turn my phone back on Sunday morning, my phone just goes for like about an hour. And people think I'm really ignorant. I'm like, no, I got about 300 messages that morning. So, and I'll give them all the scene. I'm just like, I'll put out like a thing on my Instagram story. Thanks for all the messages. I got them. Mm-hmm. Cheers.
Aye.
You know what I mean? And if I see people out and they tell me I sent a message, I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen it. Well, why didn't you reply back? Because there's about 200 other messages on my phone that I'm not going to send the same fucking message to all these. You know what I mean? But I'm not ignorant. James is like,
no. It's a time issue. It's a time issue. And so when you're up that point of the week and it's weight cut time and stuff like that, there's a few of the guys at higher level that I've asked a few guys. They sort of torture themselves with watching food channels. Yes, do you do that as well?
Yeah, I used to do it a lot. I used to do Man versus Food. I used to do like Gordon Ramsay's, Kitchen Nightmares, and then you make all food. But I had one bad experience, and I was having like a bad wake up. This wasn't even for the UFC; it was for some other show. And so I was doing it at home in my house in Dublin. But I cut too much weight the night before, so I was having a horrific sleep. I just couldn't go to sleep. Now it was that dry. It was just about 2 kilos left to go. And I knew I couldn't drink anything. So I went onto the app store on my phone and downloaded like cocktail making like app. And I was looking at all the nice cocktails in my phone that I couldn't have because my mouth was so dry. So that's about the highlight of my cutting weight stories. But I downloaded an app to look at cocktails because I was so dehydrated.
What was if you can remember, what cocktails were standing out for you?
The favourite cocktails, the Pornstar Martini, big passion fruit thing, and I think I looked at the same cocktail. I was just saying.
So if anybody seen you with your phone, they would have thought you were looking at porn or something, but it was actually cocktails.
Cocktails, yeah, cocktails. Fighters are weirdos. They're weirdos.
I've got that. Some fighters more so than others, right enough. There's been a few crackers we've spoke to over the years. It's so fun and games, isn't it? What's after a weight cut? What's your refuel? How do you refuel yourself? What's your favourite stuff to eat after you've got that weight cut done? So
is this the refuel that you're going to do before the fight?
No, after you've fought and it's fight. Just you can have any food. What are you going for?
Yeah, what you've been craving for the last 8 weeks or 2 months, 3 months, it's gone.
Aye.
Then you're just like, I'll just have a cup of tea and a bar of chocolate, whatever. It's gone. You've had your food, you're full. You just have to get a win. If it's not a beer, I usually have one beer and I go home. I don't go out drinking and celebrating. And even if I do win it, for the last, I'd say 6 years, I'll have one beer with the lads at the show. I'll come home. I'll have a cup of tea with my ma, and I'll probably have a slice of pizza or something. Just go to bed. It's boring. It's boring, but it's like I know everybody's saying, "Oh, you go to the club and you stay out all night." I'm tired after cutting weight after a hard fight. All I want to do is go sleep. So bit of pizza, cup of tea, bed.
James, would your life be easier if all the guys at the gym they just done that after the fights?
That sounds like my diet every day, to be honest. Cup of tea, with pizza. It definitely would, but some of them rip the arse out it, didn't they? Like some of them, they have weight cut week, then they have binge week. and it's like they make themselves sick. They'll phone you on the Tuesday and they're like, I'm fed up with junk food already, but I've got 4 days to go. You're like, it's all about mental strength now. Keep eating shite, and I'll see you in a week. Some of it's horrific, man.
Who's the? You can throw a couple under the bus here, James. Who's the worst at the gym for that?
Stevie Ray likes an Indian every night, I think. I think maybe Luke Shanks, but some of the younger ones are fine. They'll have like maybe pizza on the night and then right back to it the next day. But I think Stevie, he was always quite bad. And then some of the older guys, like back in the day, like the one that has clued up in nutrition. Like I remember guys like maybe making weight and then just going straight having burger and chips and stuff like that. And obviously shit's a bit different now. There's more research and more science into how to get yourself ready for the fight. But I think probably with the binge week king, probably Stevie. Although I used to try and hit a different takeaway every night for the Monday. If I fought on the Saturday, I would get ice cream on the Sunday, and then it was like a chippy on the Monday, Chinese on the Tuesday, Indian, Italian, blah, 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 right through, and then I'd still be back training maybe on the Tuesday and the Wednesday. But that was my plan. Different takeaway, different shit every night.
Don't get me wrong. Like I used to do the whole binge week thing. Just gradually over the years, it just gets old fast. Like the last couple of years, I'm just like, all right, now. But at the start, when I used to do it, I would try and with stuff in their face. But you know what it's like, James. Because you've been cutting weight, dehydrating so long, you get about 3 or 4 spoonfuls into a curry, and you're like, don't you?
Yeah. You feel terrible, and then you go back into the gym on the Monday and everybody's kicking the shit at you because you're sluggish and fully fucking salt.
Yeah, it's changed days, but in terms of even the way the amateurs and that approach it now, it's totally different than it was 10, 11, 12 years ago.
I don't like the way the amateurs approach these days.
What do you think?
In terms of the amateurs now think they're professionals because they fight in a cage. So James was in the sport back before I was, so they would have been probably still fighting. Like I know when I was an amateur, I would say we were doing 4-ounce gloves with weird it was called C class. You would do headshots standing up, no headshots on the ground, pro MMA gloves. Then it was like a B class where you could hit them on the ground, no elbows. I was fighting in box rings on mats in halls, and then gradually into the cage. Where now, if young lads get a fight straight onto Instagram, who wants to sponsor me? Who wants to do this? I'm in an 8-week camp. I'm in an 8-week camp for same day weigh-in. It's just the way they treat it is. Now some of them do get the head down, stuck in, they try that trade, right? Some of them you spot them a mile away. They want to be there, and they want to be a step a Z, and they haven't done ABC. It's just I laugh at it.
Yeah, I mean, you see amateur fighters with managers and stuff like that these days, don't you?
Why? That's so I genuinely do not understand.
And you can tell. So I'm assuming you can tell guys that when guys come into the gym, you can see the guys that are like that want to be at the top straight away without putting in all the work in the middle.
Yeah, like I think like any of the guys that come in, any of the guys that are successful throughout the gym aren't the ones that doing that. Like, all right, so I would say that the 2 top successful guys in Andy's gym, which is Team Rhino, would be Neil Seary and myself. I put fuck all up on me social media. I'm always getting given out because I put so little up on my social media. I don't have a manager. Maybe it's a fault of my own. Maybe that's the reason why I'm not further up Bellator card. I don't give a shit. That's just me. Seriously, I don't think ever put anything up about fighting ever on his Instagram. And he's one of the best fighters to ever have come out of Ireland. And he didn't. He got to the top. He finished his career in the UFC. fought on all the organisations, fought who's who. So you don't need all that shit to get to the top. If you're good enough, the cream always goes to the top. So if you're good enough, your skills will get you there,
Yeah, no, absolutely, I would agree with that. I think the Instagram and social media culture now, it's just for the younger ones. It's everywhere. I mean, James, obviously, you know now you've got a lot of young guys coming through, and you see what the guys are like with the social media side of things.
That's a nightmare. They've all got not so much in here, but they've all got an athlete's page, and I've had one fight, and they're talking about their MMA career. Like Paul says, with the reaching out for sponsors, and they put so much pressure on themselves, some of these young kids as well, whereas amateur should be that your record gets wiped when you turn pro anyway, so amateur should just be a learning experience. Amateur should be more of a sport, whereas professional MMA is a business, where the business side is you need to hurt people to make money, but the amateur side should be a sport where you're competing and you're learning and developing, similar to the style of boxing. Like amateur boxing, the guys they're boxing all the time. We've got really good amateur boxers in Scotland with Josh Taylor and stuff like that who lost fights as an amateur, went on to become a world champion as an amateur, and now he's in the pound for pound top 10 list as a professional. He's like just about to unify his division as a professional. But when you hear him talk about it, it was like the amateur stuff is just to gain experience. And he's another, what Paul was saying, he's not big on social media, like Josh Taylor, the boxer. He's just Josh from Edinburgh, who happens to be one of the best fighters in the world. And when you put the work in and you're good, like what Paul was saying with himself and Neil, you'll get to the big show and you'll get the opportunities. But these kids, a lot of these kids, it's not actually what they're doing. They want it's the same as everyone else with social media. You're trying to convince everybody else you're the man. You're living a life that you're not. You're rich. Do you know what I mean? You've got this type of watch. You're in the gym training, knocking your pan, and you're sponsored by a supplement company. And these are the type of guys that take 100 pictures and then edit one and put it on social media. They don't take a picture and fire it up. It's all a facade, really, that shit. And it's just you try to sell an illusion that you're living this life when the reality is you're just doing the same as every cunt else.
It's sometimes like you see guys putting stuff up and you think to yourself, the guy's not looking to be a fighter, he's more looking to just have pictures of himself in a cage for Instagram. So it's less about the fighting and more about the follows and likes on social media.
I know a couple of guys, if you look at their social media, you think they're world class, you'd be like, holy fuck, this is the next big thing. I know these guys that came to my gym for sparring were rolling, and the blue belts in here have turned them over. Do you know what I mean? But if you look at their social media, they're portraying something that's not there. And sometimes that gets in the way of the work. There's some guys that I'll work for and they'll maybe be successful with it, but generally these guys with the social media kind of presence and stuff like that are not the guys that are going to go on and do big things. You don't see any of these Russian fighters like running social media and they're turning up and wrecking everybody. They've usually got some cunt running it for them and stuff like that.
That's it. And Paul, I want to ask you something as well. We obviously have mentioned about just about fighting for just about every promotion that has been going. What's the biggest moments you've had in your career so far? What moments stand out to you when you look back over the different promotions and fights? Has there been specific moments you look back on fondly?
Yeah, it's a weird one when I say it. I had a really good fight with Norman Park a couple of years ago. I actually lost the fight, and it's one of my favourite fights that I've ever had. I think the decision could have went either way. I must have watched that fight back. It's the only fight I've watched back a couple of times. A lot of times, and it's left us a little bit of a sour taste in the mouth because I never got the nod. And obviously, it was for the BAMMA award, title, the BAMMA title. But it was a good fight for the fan. The two of us went at it for 3 rounds. The whole place was up on their toes. You know, there was no malice between me and Norman. I was actually I'm friends with Norman before they fought the fight. Still friends with him. Still text him. You know, good luck for fights and this, that, and the other. And I just thought it was a cracker for the fans. I'm always good that I never won the fight got the belt, but it was just a fight. It's my favourite fight that I've ever had.
Did you ever go back and forth with Norman on that one? About the fight?
I put something up. I'd never take anyone's win away from him, or I'd never say I won that, I did this. You know, he won the fight. It's his fight. He got the nod. But I think it was like 4 years ago, 2 months ago, and the memory had popped up on one of my social medias. So I reshared it again, and you know, he commented underneath it, great fight, hope you're doing well, blah blah blah. And look, if that's all you can take out of fighting, when you're finished up with memories and you know, good mates, great.
I said Norman's a character himself. We've always had him in the show, him and his coach before, Rodney. The character, and so we always do this every time. We'd like to do some quick fire questions, Paul. Sure. So James normally steps in here and runs the show.
There you go.
Hit me.
These are quick, dude. So who's the best guy you've fought so far?
Let's go Mirsad Bektic.
He was like, I was saying this to James before we started filming. At the time you fought him, he was like #1 prospect in the world. He was a massive, massive prospect.
Yeah.
That's cool. Is there anybody you've not fought so far that you want to? I know you're still fighting. This is usually a question you ask guys who have retired. So you go to Cage Warriors, other than is there anybody there you've got your eye on, apart from the match you've got signed?
Just the belt, really. Yeah, I never really sort of look at fighters. I'd say, you know, again, I don't know their backgrounds. I don't hate anybody. So whoever they sign, just give the belt. Whoever's holding the belt, current 1.3, that's still one of them.
Up to this point, have you achieved everything that you thought you would in the sport?
And more.
And more. I think we've already answered this kind of, but so far, what's been your best night in the sport so far?
Is that night, even though I lost.
The fight with Norman. It was a good fight, man. Last thing, what's happening with Neil Seary?
What's happening? Seary has gone down the fishing hole. He just spends his days fishing. But he does come up and help us train and helps Andy coach up the gym with the sparring and, you know, with the training that all the younger lads, you know, me and Neil sort of went through circuit together, or fighting together, come fight together, all that. We know Neil a long time. I know all the younger lads really do look up when he comes up. You know, he still comes up and still gets he still puts the gloves on and roll. Gives all the young lads a hard time. So, Seary's still kicking around.
Just every now and again he pops up on social media and fucking rips somebody to bits, then disappears again. That's
what he does. He deletes his Twitter for like 6 months, pops on, fucking goes to town on it. He must go on the wine or something like that. Mills everyone over on Twitter. It just fucks up again before they reply.
Brilliant. Just one last question for me before we let you go, Paul. Do you ever get involved in the coaching and stuff like that?
I do like coaching. No, I don't like coaching. Coaching is, I wouldn't like to be a head coach. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of work, there's a lot of prep, there's a lot of looking after fighters, listening to their problems. I can't make weight of 10 pounds to go, coach. What do we do? This and that. Not for me. James, fair play to you. I couldn't listen to it all day. But what I do like doing is, for me, the biggest thing I've actually given to any of these younger lads out of the gym is weight cutting advice. Because I've tried every shitty diet known to man to try and lose weight for fights. I've tried every bad weight cut known to man to lose weight for fights. None of it works. So I educated myself and read loads on cutting weight, how to refuel, and anytime any of the younger guys need help with a weight cut, I'm always down to help them, because I do see the exact same things I used to do. They'd be like eating, you know, tins of tuna and broccoli just for 8 weeks. And you can't do that. You know, you have to do this. There's a couple of little steps. Then the weight shoots down and they're feeling good about themselves. So the nutritional coach to the gym, I'll do that. You know, but I wouldn't like to be a head coach. I wouldn't like to be a head coach. It's too much involved.
I've got to ask though, you've mentioned there you've done some crazy things trying to cut weight. When you look back, and what's the one thing that stands out that you look back on and go, I cannot believe I tried that?
That 36 pounds in 12 days.
That just
11 or 12 days. When I look back on it, and Stevie will probably tell you the same, because he did the same way. But I think Rob Boyford did a similar cut for his debut in the UFC. Was a massive weight cut. And I know a couple of other guys that did something similar. It's the worst 2 weeks. So what do you think is what's meant to be the best experience of your life? Get signed to the UFC. Your dream. You've got it. You've done. The UFC is in front of you. And then you have this mountain beside you. And then when I look back on it, if somebody asked me to cut 46 pounds from now in 12 days, I couldn't do it.
I presume I thought I would know the answer. Plus, obviously, the other thing as well is just the actual stress of thinking, this is so difficult, you're feeling miserable, and you still need to, you must be worried that, fuck, can I actually make this weight?
Because I'd never went to featherweight before, and I ended up missing the weight by 1 pound. So I think I think all in, it would have been 36.5 pounds, and I got 35.5 pounds up. And I was still fined 20% of my purse and 2 grand taken off me essentially for missing weight by a pound. So yeah.
Fucking hell. Aye, that does not. That sounds horrifying. Aye, yeah. So kids watching this, don't try and cut 36 pounds. It's not a fun experience.
No, no bueno.
Well, listen, Paul, thanks very much for coming on the show. We look forward to seeing you back in action in Cage Warriors in June. Best of luck when it comes, mate. And again, we appreciate you coming on.
Not a bother. Always good to chat to the lads. Thanks for having me on.
I'll see you in London in June, dude.
Oh, sweet as James. We'll catch you down there, yeah?